Yo, what's going on?
My boy Frosty is back, and I'm back. It feels
Yes,
good.
we're back. It's been a while. Been about 2 weeks.
Yeah, it seems like it always happens where we'll have a nice, like, arousing. Arousing is the word I'm going to choose for this. But
You know what? I'll go with it.
all right,
An
we're gonna latch
arousing.
on to arousing. It was an arousing discussion, and then it's always like, well, I'm here, or I'm away for a bit, or you're busy and you're out doing something, and then we can never kind of just like butt heads the way we want to. Yeah, here we are. It doesn't matter. We're here now, and
Yes,
that's what
we're here
matters.
now, and that's what counts. But yeah, you've been away doing some Gwent things.
Yes.
How was Challenger?
So Challenger is always amazing, and this time what they did was they opened it up. They opened the studio up to. I think they invited 60 people. Like they put out an invite to people who wanted to come and spectate the tournament and be part of the community. And they had like they brought in like pizza and beer and everything for everybody, and like snacks and shit like that for everybody to eat. And they got to watch the tournament on a big screen inside the studio while we were out doing our thing, kind of like down. It was literally like maybe 100 yards away is where like the recording studio is.
Sure.
So we were doing that, and then you kind of walk back and forth as you do like caster swaps and whatever. So fucking cool, because we show up on I fly overnight Tuesday, land like around Wednesday at noon, and then I go the whole day Wednesday. So like I'm not sleeping for like 35-40 hours. And it's literally every day is like, okay, I'm gonna rest today, I'm not gonna drink, and then
Yeah, I know how that goes.
yeah, it never turns into that. But that was good. Then we came back, and then I had some business to take care of in Montreal, so I went down to Montreal for a few days. That's where my family is, so I hung out with my family for a bit, and then I came back, and here we are. And now
Nice.
I get to see your beautiful face. But I mean, you've been busy too, I would imagine. I know that you're doing stuff.
Yes, I've been running myself pretty ragged actually over the past like couple weeks. Like trying to get into this schedule of streaming later into the night. When I was at Magic Fest Vegas for the GP, I had a conversation with Asian Avenger about how he did the late night streams while working a day job and everything. Because I used to work mornings, and I'd be able to stream in the afternoons. And he's kind of just like, dude, just get 3 hours of sleep and you're good. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
all right, sure, I guess I'll just sleep 3 hours a day. So, yeah, I've been trying to get into a schedule and stuff. But the biggest thing, I guess, if we want to talk about some stuff happening, Throne of Eldraine released for Magic, and Magic Arena is released officially, I guess.
Is that what it is? Is it like the official out of beta? Like,
Yes.
This is the big.
It launched yesterday. So yesterday was the actual official launch of Magic Arena.
Congratulations, Magic.
Yeah, I tweeted out. I was like, congrats to the team. Like, I've been there since the NDA like beta, where we couldn't talk about like anything that was related to the game at all, and it was very different. So it was a privilege to see it go from what it was to what it is now, and to be a part of where it's going. Hopefully to good places. I don't know.
Yeah, some people might not remember the time where there was no duplicate protection, and people stopped buying and opening packs because they're like, I don't need a seventh, God knows what, like that glint sleeve siphoner, like at that point with Aether Revolt and whatnot, So back in the day when that wasn't the thing, and I know that people are crapping on MTGA for a lot of the decisions they make from an economy standpoint, but they have made significant strides. So if you think it's bad and kind of really restrictive now, should have seen it back in the day where people like, not because it was a protest, but they knew better than to open their packs. They're like, something might change. I've got like 60 packs of Dominaria that I'm not freaking opening.
So holding on to them.
Yeah, that's it. They had a stack. They're like, I cannot afford a 14th Banalish Marshal. It can't happen anymore. Like, it just wasn't the way to go anymore.
The worst part was before we even had a store, and you were praying every time you won a pack that you could open it and there was a second sun in the pack. Just so you could actually fucking win games.
Oh, we're talking all the way back from the like Amonkhet kind of like
Approach of the second sun, yeah.
Oh dear Jesus. Azorius like prison, life gain, garbage. Oh my god, do not remind me. Do not remind me.
That was you know, that was it. You either played like some crappy aggro deck with a bunch of random cards, or you owned a Approach of the Second Sun and you would win every game.
Yeah, revitalize. Search for Scanta, search for Scanta. And then play Search for the Second Sun a second time. And wasn't that the one where even if you negate it, it still counts? Because you just have to cast.
The second one you have to counter. So if you counter the first one, it doesn't matter. If you counter the second one, then there was a problem.
Okay, maybe I did that wrong then.
Probably, but that's okay.
It's like I got to negate. Who gives a shit? But no.
But yeah, but they're still not out of it, because even with the launch yesterday, there were issues with Throne of Eldraine. I didn't notice it because I opened like 140 packs or some shit. I didn't notice there was a collating issue, which they then attributed to a data tracking issue, where instead of it like caring about what you were like, you know, searching for what you owned, it would just give you like you would open a pack, or you'd open 10 packs, right? And it would just give you 4 of one of the rares.
Really?
Like it would just go in order. Because
that is hilarious.
It's weird. It was weird. I think Hearthstone had a similar problem during like it was Gnomes versus Goblins or whatever it was. They had a similar issue where it wasn't paying attention to their algorithm for like how to pick cards. So I went and checked my collection, and sure enough, like the cards I don't own any of them.
So it's like I got like a 3 of, a 3 of, a 3 of, a 4 of, a 4 of, a 4 of, and then nothing kind of thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It
was
weird.
See, if you can track that in paper and hit the right sequence of cards, like if like some people do that.
You used to be able to.
Well, did you ever watch any of those unboxing videos of people from like the alpha unboxings or whatever, where every day like they'd release a video where it's like, we have a box of alpha, and every video is we're going to go through one pack, and they bust out the white gloves and whatever. And what's crazy is they like have this chart, and they're like, okay, so they're like, yesterday we were in this spot and we opened this, so the next card should be this or this, and they're going through it, and they're like, bingo, perfect, got it. And you're like, Jesus Christ, like this is insane. But I would imagine if that was the truth in paper, where you buy a box and it's just 4 of, 4 of, 4 of, 4 of, 4 of.
Oh, just like they had a weird misprint where it's just like, there was actually, I've seen multiple like weird not misprint, just a weird print run where like all the packs in a box were all rares. Like there were no commons or uncommons. Like every it was just a random weird printing where
the whole box, all 36 packs,
were rares.
Get the hell out.
It was hilarious.
36 times 15 of rares.
Yep.
That's like 450, almost 500 cards. All wow. That is, you want to talk about, remember, you know, like the existence of God packs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were actually a thing too.
This is like a fucking beyond the, like, you know, Olympus box. Like the absolute, wow.
Yeah. God packs were actually a thing that Wizards did on purpose at one point.
Excuse me. Oh my God.
You alright?
I'm just gonna mute for a second.
We lost Flake.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Cheers to Lot 40 whiskey. It is delicious, yet.
Hold on.
Yeah. What do you have it?
I can't pronounce this. Somebody else can. It's
Siutan? I don't know. Chihuatan? I don't know.
It's from El Salvador. Aged 8 years rum. It's delicious. I could drink it over the rocks, but that would, go against my character.
You're a cultured man.
Yeah, I mix my drinks, obviously. But yeah, no, like God packs used to be a thing for sure. Anyway, cheers to you, Flake, for your what whiskey were you drinking?
It's Lot 42, a rye whiskey. So it's a friend of mine came to visit from Montreal, stayed with me for a day or so, and brought it, and we drank a bunch, played some Overwatch, and then he left the bottle here. He brought 2, and he left the second one. Yeah. So now you saying that Wizards did Magic God packs.
They did. And actually, like somebody in chat mentioned, Yu-Gi-Oh used to have marked packs back in the day. Magic didn't have marked packs, but if you look at the original Alpha, Beta, Revised, Arabian Nights, I think there was one more set, maybe Antiquities, of the original set. The tops and bottoms of the pack were slightly translucent, and the packs were long, so you could like shift a card away from the rest of them up to the sleeve and like read what it was. That's why I never don't ever buy loose like packs from those sets.
Yeah,
they've been checked.
I've seen those videos by Alpha Investments, that guy Rudy.
Alpha Investments, yeah.
Yeah, where they talk about searched packs, and you can tell he's so intuitive and smart when he sees them, because he picks up the pack and he's like, "Oh yeah, this has been searched." He's looking at the creases here. Look at this. You could tell that the paper's been been manipulated in a way to be rubbed to be It's like,
because they weren't foil packs. You know how you buy the new foil ones that tear almost instantly. They were like a weird wax paper.
Yeah, and you could see through them to a degree.
Yeah, you could.
I remember the feel of those too.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like the last time. I think the last time I've ever bought a pack of cards that had that kind of before they went to like the foil style. It must have been sports cards that I used to buy, like old hockey cards or old baseball cards. Like I'm talking about like the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
Whereas everything I purchased after that, and when I used to buy a lot of Star Wars cards, Star Wars CCG, even then it was like the foil. You had no fucking way of knowing what the hell you're getting. But God packs in Magic, like
God packs existed. They happened during, I believe, Theros. That when they were done intentionally, and it was a God pack, but it wasn't like what you would think a God pack is, where it's like all rares. It was just a pack that contained every god in the set.
Oh, okay.
Which happened to be 15 of them.
Yeah. So, but what was the rarity of each of those cards?
They were all mythics.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, you can call it okay. So, from that standpoint, it's still like hitting the lottery, right?
Yeah, and they've done multiple things over the years. We had expeditions. We had, not Antiquities. What the fuck? They were the artifact ones with like the super crazy border on them. I forget what they were called, but you had the expeditions. You had those. You had masterpieces. That's what they were called. Masterpiece cards. There was the ones during Amonkhet that like you fucking couldn't read because they were.
Oh, I've seen these. Yeah. Those were really cool. Like almost like really alternate art, but to the point where they were very like thematic to whatever this.
Yeah, super altered.
Yeah.
And they were always foil. But it all stems from there was a point during Zendikar. There's a printing of Zendikar boxes as long as if they were within the first run. And I think the boxes are marked in some way. They were called expedition. Were they called expedition boxes? I think they were called expedition boxes. Not expedition like the next time they did it, but no, they were called treasure boxes. That's what they were, treasure boxes. And there was a random chance in any of these boxes that one of the packs could contain a card from Wizard's Vault.
Okay.
So this could be a Mox. It could be a Dual Land. It could be a Black Lotus. It could be a fucking
but not like
random orc. No, not
like
a reprint. It was an actual card from Wizards. Well, they said actual card from Wizards. And I don't know if a Black Lotus was ever opened, but I do know multiple Moxes were opened. And like this, it was like the first run of Zendikar when it was released. People were cracking. Like, it's obviously a marketing thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can we get people to buy boxes? Because boxes are the worst thing you could actually buy, in terms of like, EV, right?
For sure.
Shit, man. When I worked at an LGS, people would buy like 5 or 6 boxes of a Magic set. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Why?
I bought 4 Ravnica Allegiance boxes. Well, sorry, I bought 2, and then I won 2 at like the Magic Fest Toronto. Like based on like I traded in a shit ton of tickets. I got 2 boxes. I got a whole bunch of singles. I got all kinds of other garbage and whatever. But and then that was the last time I ever purchased a box because I was like, dear God, what am I going to do with all this? Like, this is insanity.
Can you let me borrow some cards? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And so, and you want to talk about it, but right next to me right now, here's still a whole fucking stack of here's like my Growth Chamber Guardian. This is an old deck, but like Tithe Takers, a bunch of Unbreakable Formations, Lumbering Battleman, Electro Dominance, like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like Ionizes and whatever. There they all are right next to me, just waiting for a meta that's going to accept them. But regardless, like what you're talking about, people buying tons and tons of money or spending tons and tons of money buying these boxes, searching for these enormous, like long odds, lottery kind of once in a lifetime wins. It's insanity. But I mean, what's Magic done instead of that? They've kind of got like I think the most recent. Well, that's it because now they're like, all right. Rather than you guys sort of rolling the dice, because you guys have smartened up. You guys have clearly smartened up. You're not going to spend tons of money for these long shot odds, 1 in a million chances. But how about this? How about we charge you like $30 for a big collector pack with cool art and shit, and maybe you'll buy that. And people are like, yep, motherfucker, let's go.
In about 5 days, I got to spend like $450 to buy the stupid fucking deluxe edition.
What's the deluxe edition?
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
Oh, wait. Is this the one where they advertised it and people were like, are you fucking kidding me? Where it's like you get like a bunch of packs of this, you get all these sets of foils or whatever, you get all the alternate arts for these planeswalkers and whatever. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so the deluxe edition of Throne of, like, it's a fucking video game getting released. Like I already pre-purchased the deluxe edition of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, Modern Warfare was the fucking worst for that. It's like, hey, if you spend $200, we'll give you an RC car that's like featured in the game. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, I stopped buying like premium collector's editions of games when Arkham Asylum came out because they're like, oh, you get a collector's Batarang. I'm like, fucking sweet. It was like $150. It was a piece of plastic that was painted.
Oh, it wasn't even metal?
Like, no, it was terrible. Thing was like a cheap toy. Anyway. Yes, I pre-ordered the deluxe edition of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Don't at me. Don't message me. Don't say shit. I don't care. Anyway.
Say shit. Yeah.
The deluxe edition of Throne of Eldraine is on sale October 2nd. $450. In it, you get, I believe it's a binder, a special binder that I have about 5 of them on my shelf right now. It just has a purple Planeswalker emblem in it. Made by the same company that makes those ones for like $15. Like, they're very nice binders, but all right. Anyway.
Okay, so let's just say that we'll do like some quick accounting here. I've
quick
got
math.
My special accounting pen.
Quick math.
Quick math. All right, so let's just say, so you get the binder, right? So let's say the binder, the shitty binder is $15, or like the non-cool art binder.
Say the special one's like $30.
Yeah, let's double the price on that bad boy. We'll say 30. All right, keep going.
I believe it's... I don't know how many collector's packs are in it. I think it's 16.
Oh, see, that's the wild card there. Like I'll check it out.
Yeah, go. You can Google this shit.
Yes.
So Throne of Eldraine Deluxe Edition.
Yeah. All right. All right, I found it. Okay. Okay, 16 collector booster packs.
16 collector's booster packs.
How much is one of those worth? Like,
I believe the MSRP on a collector's pack is like $10.
No, it's got to be more than that.
No.
Yeah, because you get each booster is like, isn't it like 20 cards or more than that?
I don't think so. I have no idea.
All right, well, you know what? Fuck it. We'll say $10.
It's either 10 or 15. I'm not sure what.
You want to say $12.50 to be safe?
Sure, if you want to do that math.
All right, $12.50. I have this magical thing. Right,
yes,
so that's
Wizards did get rid of MSRPs.
So 200 bones just for those 16 packs.
Sure. They said exclusive print of Garruk it's not. You can actually purchase it.
Cursed, yeah, one foil Guru Cursed Huntsman borderless planeswalker card.
Yeah, so there's a borderless planeswalker card, which I think if you look up the current going for that, it's like $20 or $30.
All right, so it's like $25 for that.
The print that they have there, you can purchase online. It's not exclusive. There is a part of a uncut sheet. I believe it's 9 cards.
Yeah, it's a 3x3. So I've got the whole list here. So just give me a number value for the art print.
Fucking, like, I don't know. I think it was like $25.
All right, we'll say $25. 3x3 uncut foil. You don't even know what the fuck you're getting off that.
Yeah, you don't even know what you're getting. It could be fucking like those things, like uncut sheets. An uncut sheet, I think you can purchase for maybe a couple $100. So that contains roughly 300 cards. So 9 of that.
All right, we'll just say like $15.
I would say less than that, probably like 5.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah.
I'll put 5. We'll put 5 on that
because it depends on what cards you get.
A non-foil version of the buy a box Kenrith.
I don't know what Kenrith is selling for.
I'm just gonna put $5.
$5 maybe.
And then one MTG Arena Mega Code card, which grants a digital Garruk sleeve.
$100 million, because that's all I give a shit about in this entire box.
So this Mega Code, the Mega Code is like just gets you fucking digital cards, right?
It gets you a sleeve and I believe a couple packs or something. Like it's it's one of each.
Yeah, one of each, like of the Planeswalkers or something, or like Garruk, Charming Prince, Magic Mirror, Witch's Vengeance, Bone Crusher Giant,
including their cosmetic, I think.
All right, so what's the value of that shit?
$100 million.
I'm
gonna guess like $50.
50. All right.
I would say somebody would probably gonna put that shit on eBay for like $50
for that code, just for the arts and the sleeve.
I think so.
All right, I'll say 50. Well, I'll believe you there. All right, keep going, my friend.
Because each cosmetic is 1,200 gems, right? And 100 gems is $1, so each one of those is like $10 in terms of gems in game. So
right, okay.
Plus an exclusive sleeve, right? So
okay, so based on what you told me, I have a value of what you told me. So
I think it's actually 450, like total.
It is. So it is 400. The will cost $449 for the deluxe edition. Now, what we discussed, based on breaking it down and what you assume the value would be, that totals up to about $340.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, is it just the fact that you can get them all at once? You're paying for convenience?
You're paying for convenience. You're paying for a one-time thing that may not ever happen again. But somebody did bring up a good point on Twitter when this whole thing happened was, if this sells out, you know what the next one's going to be? Like $1,000.
Well, they had those, what was it, like the Planeswalker one that came out where it's like you have the set of 5 and then that was fucking ridiculous. And it's all secondary market, because I go to my LGS right now and you could have bought that Planeswalker set for like, I don't know, what was it, $200 or something like that?
I think it was $250 if you bought one, but they limited it to like 2 per person.
Yeah. And well, right now in my LGS, they're like 700 Canadian. So that's like about $500 US. So like, that's it. It doubles because it's just a matter of secondary market. Well, but you're right, man. Like this God Pack stuff, like these. Are you gonna buy it? You're not gonna buy it.
I'm gonna buy it only for the code, and I'm gonna give away everything else.
Like you're gonna sell it?
No, I'm gonna run giveaways on my channel.
You fucking god! First of all, that's amazing.
For everything in that box that is not the mega code, because literally all I give a shit about is the mega code. Actually, all I really give a shit about is that fucking Garruk sleeve. I am a shit sucker for like exclusive in-game cosmetics. I am horrible. I am a horrible person when it comes to that. Like that's why I couldn't do Hearthstone anymore, because there was a card back in Hearthstone that I could not get for the life of me.
Which one was it?
The golden card back.
How do you get that?
You had to be in China.
Oh yeah, forget that noise. You
Like,
want to hear a quick story? I lied, and I lied and contacted a university and got an email back from them or something like that, which I then sent to TESPA to
oh, you got the
prove to them
Delarian Flame card back?
to prove to them that I went to the University of Colorado so that I can get the TESPA code.
Oh my
I did
god.
that, so on my account. Sorry, you caught me, TESPA League, like 5 years later, but I totally have the TESPA Flame card
That
back.
was the only other card back I did not get.
I have it, motherfucker, because I was like, I'm not gonna pay for it on eBay because they went for like a decent amount. Like they had some people had codes to unlock it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pay like $60 or $70 for that shit. I'm just gonna email like the University of Colorado and say that I'm a student and be like, can you help me, like, you know, whatever. And then they emailed me back, and I showed them the people at TESPA. I'm like, look, I got an email from the thing. From the university with my name on it and whatever, and they're like, yeah, here's the code. I was like, suckers.
I'm actually upset right now because I'm not upset. I'm salty. Merchant posted on Twitter. If you guys are not following Merchant, you should be.
I saw that. Yeah, say it.
What is it Union Jack? Is that what
Union Jack? Yeah,
a Union Jack card back for Arena. I'm pissed. I want one. Why does he get it?
You gotta talk to him. Well, hit him back with the stars and stripes, bro. Like, don't, you know?
Can I get, like, I don't know, an Italian flag or something?
A Paisan flag for sure.
That would actually be super cool if, like, they had country flags, like, that were for sale, like, that you could just buy them.
Yeah.
To rep your country you're from. Like, that would be sweet. I just don't know why he got, like, an exclusive one. Like, Crocky's also got the Union Jack.
Well, yeah, he's from the UK,
yeah, he's
right?
From there
like
too,
both
yeah.
are.
Although,
I don't know how they both.
Merchant went to Canada.
It's true. He's a neighbor of mine now. We actually both live in the same city. I haven't even gotten to.
Oh, you gotta hit him up, man.
Have a pint with him. What's funny about it is that you'll never be able to get it, like, legitimately, right? But yeah. I mean, if they do have it, I think it's actually a good idea, especially since competitive card games now often have that nationality representation as part of the whole point, right? You know, a lot of the times when you have the gamer's name, you often have their country of origin right next to it. So I think that's definitely. I mean, imagine the gems. I would throw down, a couple thousand gems to have a Canadian flag next to it, or like on my card back. That's just just me, and the same as you, right?
Yeah, like somebody brought up in chat, like releasing card backs for Worlds would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
For
sure.
And definitely, like, if you got to that like that stage to be able to just rep your country, I think that's something they really should do. They probably actually will. Like showing now, like, hey, the Union Jack has a card back in MTG Arena, and we've sent it along with codes to, two of the biggest UK streamers for Magic. Like, all right, they'll probably do it for the rest of them too.
Alias is gonna get one for Canada for sure, and
yes.
I've driven her to and from the LGS like dozens of times. So her and I'm totally gonna weasel one out of her for that way.
Oh yeah, that's right. They do have codes. I'll message Merchant. Maybe he'll give me one.
For sure he will.
But yeah, so that's kind of what's been happening in Magic. It's just a lot of oddness, some weird release bugs that's happened, a brand new set. Teferi's still around, in case anybody was wondering. Although Oko's starting to cause some waves.
So this is the other thing that I wanted to sort of tap into, is the fact that I will be first to admit I've been exceptionally busy in the past couple of weeks, and I have not touched Magic in the past week or so. I've watched a lot of streams, and I've watched a lot of the waves that the new set has been causing. And one of the biggest things that was discussed amongst some of the people that I talk with when new cards are revealed is Oko is a 3 CMC, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Who upticks to 6, right?
Yeah.
That's, to me,
unfriable.
The unfriable for one, yes, correct. But also, what do you have if you are on the play? What do you possibly have on the turn 3 that can deal with it. Right, you need to hit like.
You have to have
What do you
Assassin's
have?
Trophy. That's it.
Well, there's one, but you're never going to deal with it right off the bat because if if you're playing anything to sort of chump block or do something that early to deal with it, your Oko is currently going to be just untouchable and out of control. Why they're printing, low CMC, high, high point value, like high health total planeswalkers. That I think is a lot of the issue is when you put them so they're so out of reach that it becomes a planeswalker game.
Yeah, like, and his +1 is a removal spell. Like, why? Why does he get to just +1 and remove something from the board? I don't get it.
Listen, there are decisions that are sometimes made, like the last Teferi and the previous Teferi and all the other Teferis that have kind of just sort of sprouted up over the times.
And
there's always going to be
2021. That's going to be all Teferi.
Yeah. Well, it's.
I hope not, but we'll see.
Well, we've all sort of had the headaches of the War of the Spark Teferi, who has essentially handcuffed many decks and been a pain in the ass. And now we have another issue, which is you have Oko come down, create a food token, B6, 6 health. Plus, he's playing within a color scheme that is already very evasive and tough to penetrate, right? Because green's going to play a lot of either ramp or big creatures. Blue's going to play a lot of, nope shit. And
they also printed Hogak in Standard, which is a problem. But, we'll deal with that eventually. The Troll King is a 7/6 vigilance trample creature that you don't have to pay mana for. Just sacrifice 3 food tokens and he comes into play. Like, okay, I guess. We'll just we'll play him on turn 4 with some ramp, and then you kill him, and then he just comes back.
So what have you been playing most prominently with Throne?
So last night and over the streamer event that I was invited to, kind of played a little bit of Control, a little bit of Blue Black, some Grixis Pile, but then late last night, somebody handed me a Dance Dance Revolution deck, Esper Dance of the Manse, I believe is the name of the card. That it's like it's blue white X, return X, artifacts or enchantments from your graveyard to play, where X is their converted mana cost or less. If X is 6 or more, those now become 4/4 creatures as well.
Yes, return up to X target artifact and/or non-aura enchantments, each with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard. If X is 6 or more, yeah, those are now 4/4.
So, yes, it did win fandom yesterday, so it's going to be everywhere today. But a core of this is a card called Doom Foretold that when I saw it get printed, I'm like, oh, this is going to be an issue. Not an issue as in like it's broken. It's an issue as this is going to create a deck. Doom Foretold says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, including you must sacrifice a non-land permanent. If you cannot, then the person who controls Doom Foretold, I believe, gains 2 life, draws a card, creates a 2/2, and your opponent has to discard a card, and you sacrifice Doom Foretold. So basically, like a one of every card advantage. I get a creature, I get a card, you lose a card, like
right, and you get rid of that, and you get rid of that.
So you get rid of Doom Foretold. Doom Foretold's not legendary. You can have multiple in play. As long as your opponent is playing things, Doom Foretold is sacrificing things. As long as you play things like, tokens, food tokens, random creatures. It has to be a non-token, by the way. You cannot sacrifice a creature token. Or a token at all. So food tokens I don't think works. So as long as you're sacrificing permanents and everything, like you're creating this virtual card advantage. But then you Dance of the Manse everything back. You just keep going. You play shit like Oath of Kaya. You're just like, yeah, kill that thing, gain 3 life. Oh, I'll sacrifice it to Doom Foretold. Whatever.
Yeah, I'll get it back later.
I'll get it back later.
The worst part about this is that it falls into that disgusting color box of Esper, right? Black, white, and blue.
Yeah.
So it's that whole color scheme is not gaining any favor after sort of wrecking face for an entire year.
Yeah, it is each player, and what it is reminiscent of is a archetype that is loved and hated. I hated it back in the day. I love it kind of now. It's an archetype called Stacks. This is because there's an old card called Smokestack. Smokestack was a 4-mana artifact that at the beginning of your upkeep you put a smoke counter on Smokestack. I believe it was a smoke counter, whatever counter. And then at the beginning of each player's upkeep, you had to sacrifice a permanent for each counter on Smokestacks. So, like, it would go, okay, I'm going to play Smokestack, go. Like, on my turn, I don't have to sacrifice anything, because trigger, I put a counter on Smokestack. You can stack it so that you don't sacrifice anything the first time. It's
right.
Like, okay, go, now you have to sacrifice permanent. Now you have to sacrifice 2. Now you have to sacrifice 3. Now you have to sacrifice 4. And it combined with other things, like Tangle Wire. Tangle Wire, you would tap down permanents. There was a bunch of shit it combined with. But basically the idea of Smokestacks was you locked your opponent out of the game until they sacrificed their whole board. And you won with Manticore, I think, at the time. So that's what Doom Foretold. You're looking at Smokestacks.
Looking at it right now, yeah.
So there was a bunch of shit around the time, and there were ways to return it. There were ways to, like, it is a soot counter. That's what it is. It's a soot counter on Smokestack. Yeah, and then Tangle Wire had the same effect, where at the beginning of your upkeep, you put a counter on Tangle Wire, and then you tapped permanents equal to the counters on Tangle Wire, and that was symmetrical. So your opponent had to tap their board down and then start sacrificing it, and it was this, this constant thing that Doom Foretold is very reminiscent of. Like, okay, I'm gonna play Doom Foretold, sacrifice the thing. I'll sacrifice the thing I don't really care about. Like,
right.
I'm gonna play another one. All right, now you gotta sacrifice 2. I'll sacrifice 2 I don't really care about. And it kind of is built this way where, yeah, the win condition doesn't necessarily matter. It's just this idea of card advantage by stopping your opponent to get ahead. They cannot get ahead of you because they're constantly sacrificing stuff.
Now, are these the Doom Foretold deck that we're talking about? Is that played with like skeletons like that just come back? Like
no,
those reanimated skeletons?
Their reanimation is Dance of the Mans. So like it's literally just a bunch of shit that comes into play, does something, and then doesn't matter anymore. So like
right.
Oath of Kaya, Golden Egg, like Teferi, like just normal stuff for Esper. And then you get to a point where you're just like, yeah, DDR, put everything back into play. And now they're 4/4s, and I'm just gonna bash you in the face for like 26.
It's disgusting.
So
and they hit the board and have their initial
and they all
effect.
trigger again, yeah.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how this pans out. If there's gonna be any other variations of it that like lean harder into the Smokestacks. Maybe people start playing shit like Rule of Law, where players can only play 1 spell per turn. Like try and really like create a prison deck. Prison hasn't been around in decades. So
yeah,
I appreciate that it's there, but at the same time, like it's once you know what the person is doing, now you can play around it. Like, oh,
right.
You're Doom Foretold deck. Okay, I just don't have to play into it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's like getting your deck that kind of takes something by storm. That's why people are very secretive about when they find something that really clicks and how much they'll ladder off stream, with it. And then once they hit the pinnacle or once they cross the threshold, they'll be like, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, reminiscent of when Aliantrazi won a Star City event playing Lich's Mastery. Like, nobody knew what the fuck he was doing. He's like, oh, right. Infinite, kill you. Like, wait, what? Like, yeah, just take infinite turns here and then just kill you. And it's like, oh, okay, I yeah, that works. And then, after he won, as soon as your opponent played like multiple lands that made 0 sense together, you're like, oh, okay, you're playing Lich. I know how.
And then you can sort of you can navigate it, right? You can
Right.
kind of get around all that nonsense.
You may still lose.
Yeah,
but
like
at
I'm
least
sure
you
the
know.
first people, guaranteed the first people who queued into like a Kethis combo deck were like, the hell is this garbage? They might have been like, okay, never seen that card. The fuck is that? Someone's trying some janky shit, and all of a sudden, when you think that you've got a lead, all of a sudden they're just going off and just popping off for, they have a 20-minute turn and they figure out how to beat you, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that's the only time that'll work for this clown, because I'll be able to sort of punch through it next time. And then you lose to it again, you lose to it again, you lose to it again, and then you realize that, oh shit, this works. And it kind of just pops out of nowhere, and then someone makes an article about it, and then it just wrecks.
Yeah, once it hits the airwaves and like people see it and they're like, oh, okay. You get either two reactions to it. Either one, nobody tries to improve on it, so eventually it's just one of the, like Lich's Mastery. It was just one of the things that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, I know what you're doing, I know what you're trying to do, I know what cards I need to stop, we'll go from there. Or somebody tries to like actually improve upon it, and you get some like interesting variations of it. Like Reclamation, right? Reclamation
right.
hit, and everybody's like, okay, we can go either infinite with it, we can go combo, we can just go like just value. There's different ways you can take it, and sometimes the answer to one is not the answer to the others. So we'll have to see where Dance of the Mance goes. But every deck that I've seen out of Throne of Eldraine is either a hyper aggro deck or plays out of the graveyard in some way. So Graveyard Hate is going to be, I don't know, main deckable is kind of pushing it. But we're getting to that point where everything wants to play out of the graveyard. Every fucking deck has some sort of interaction with their yard. Hell, I lost to a stupid cat last night. The stupid the Cauldron Familiar, like, comes into play, drains your opponent for 1, and then you can sacrifice a food token and put it back into play from your graveyard.
And so how often did that happen to you? Where you just got catted?
From 20. Because they played, there's a card called Witch's Oven that you tap it, sacrifice a creature, and create a food token. They're just like, Witch's Oven, kill Cauldron Familiar, put a food token in play, sacrifice food token, Cauldron Familiar. And then they played the 3-black, 3/3, that whenever a black creature comes to play, it does the exact same fucking thing. Now they're just like, drain you for 2. Oh, I have another cat, I have another Witch's Oven, sacrifice 2 cats, put 2 tokens in play, sacrifice 2 tokens, put 2 cats in play, drain you for 4. Like, fuck, I can't stop this.
And how did you feel about that, Frosty? About that wonderful, like...
I drank a lot afterwards.
What's great about it, though, is that these things, there's enough space within the game to come up with some janky shit like this that actually works. That's good for the game in that regard, I would imagine, where you can kind of approach it and say, it can work. It's not like I'm going to get stonewalled at a point where I'm never going to actually reach the finish line with it, because obviously you, as a world-class superstar player, were, caught off guard and beaten by it. I think
totally
the
worst part about it is, like, I knew what was happening, and I tried to stop it, and I couldn't. I fucking played Blast Zone for 1. Blew up the whole board. Still died.
Oh, yeah, because food tokens are...
Yeah, they just create food tokens and keep making them, just like... Because Blast Zone got rid of the Witch's Ovens, too. I even got rid of the Witch's Ovens. Still died.
You're so salty about this. I love it.
Because it was good.
Oh man.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting. We'll have to see where Throne kind of takes Magic. I don't know if Oko and Teferi are gonna again warp the game around the, if I'm on the play and I have a 3-drop Planeswalker, like, I win.
Yeah.
Type of situation. I really don't want that to happen. Sort of feels like it's happening right now, but we'll see. We'll see how it kind of shakes out.
Well, that's it. It's still fresh, and I think people are gonna. There are still people who are in that mode of they either the best players who have spent tons of money on cards or who already have enough time and resources invested into the game where they can have a vast collection are probably going to go for the tried, tested, and true stuff to be competitive right out of the gate, where probably a lot of the more jankier players who want to theory craft and do crazy shit, they might not have time already to get a vast enough collection to, or are not necessarily comfortable enough right now to spend all those wild cards and with the limited resources they have. So they're not comfortable with the brewing the silly shit. Like they're like, I need a playset of this, but it's never going to be functional in anything right now unless I really commit to this silly, stupid idea that has a 10% chance of actually working out, right?
Funny you say that, because this weekend, because of the launch, there is an event going on in Magic right now, I believe for the next like couple days, called Play Any Deck in Standard, where you are given access to every single card currently available in Standard as a 4-of. You can build anything you want, play anything you want, for 12 games. Once you've played 12 games, win or lose, you're done.
Right. I saw that. You only have one entry into it, right?
You only have one entry into it. And then next weekend is the Win One of Standard, I think is what it's called. Where it's, you get one entry, 12 games, but if you reach 2 losses, you're out.
Right.
And that has like a whatchamacallit, a reward system to it, including a sleeve and everything. So yeah, just create multiple accounts. But this is a good thing that they did. I think they need to take it one step further and keep it, or make it a monthly thing or something. I think it should go against Sparky. Like, everybody joins, like, there's this bot match, but what's the point of beating up on a bot if I don't own the cards? But if the Sparky matches had every card, like, you could just build whatever you wanted and play against the bot, like, who gives a shit? Right. So I really think I left them, you know, that feedback, and I really hope they do keep that. But we'll have to see what happens.
But how does that make them money? God damn it!
Well, if you build a deck that you like and you want to play it against people, you gotta fucking buy cards.
It's true. You're not wrong there. I mean, part of it is just sort of dangling the carrot and being, look what you can have, chase after it, boyos. But
right. I mean, people in paper do it all the time, right? Like, as sets are coming out, I have a box of basic lands next to me. We just fucking take a Sharpie to the back of it, and we're like, yeah, this is the, you know, the Wilderness Reclamation, and sleeve it up, and you play it, and you're like, well, all right, this card's broken. Like, might as well buy 4 of those when it comes out.
Yeah. Which goes back to the whole point of, like, buying boxes is a total waste of money.
Absolutely, buying boxes.
Don't do it, friends. Don't do it. Buy the singles you need. Don't buy boxes.
I mean, if you want to buy a box to draft with friends, cool.
Right, but
like, do that. If you have some weird ASM, well, that's not weird, but like, if you have like a thing for opening packs and like that crinkling, like, go ahead, like, have at it, have fun.
Yes, I think we all have that illness, but some of us are.
My girlfriend loves cracking packs.
Oh, of course,
loves cracking packs. I just don't buy paper anymore. But you know, it's we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out. I think Arena's gonna get some odd competition, which you've been playing recently. Mythgard,
right,
is coming up. Just released into open beta, right?
Open beta began, I believe, a week and a day ago. The as of, I guess, the recording of this podcast, it happened last Thursday. So Thursday, I guess, would be the 19th of September. Is when it went into open beta after a brief closed beta and an extended alpha phase. Now, a competition to Magic is a stretch. I mean, you can say that from a regards of the fact that
digital card game space,
right? But like Hearthstone and Magic to me are the titans right now, yes, of the genre. One on a decline, one on a meteoric rise, I would say. I mean, Hearthstone is one of those games that was so high up in the fucking stratosphere of, you know, dominating the genre that even though it might have lost thousands and thousands of feet of altitude, it's still way up over top of
I mean, if we load up Twitch right now, it's probably still like number 3.
Oh, guaranteed. But I mean, it's not. I think in terms of quality and what has happened with it, it's still a little bit behind, or it's behind where it used to be, obviously. But Magic is still rising up. But I mean, Hearthstone is still enormous. It's a juggernaut of something, and
for a myriad of reasons, right? Like,
well, partially because it was the first big one to make a splash, right? In terms of digital card games that did it right. It mixed, a simple interface and rule set with random effects that had big impact on the game that made you feel like you're doing some crazy shit. And it was backed up by the lore of World of Warcraft that so many people had already subscribed to.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Hearthstone had a lot of really good things for it, like the WoW TCG hit paper to compete with Magic. And then when I don't want to say it failed because it didn't fail. It was great, and it actually took me away from Magic for a good portion of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they took all the original art too, all the art that's in Hearthstone for some cards.
Yeah,
you can cards.
You can see like sometimes you'll see people, like I remember cruising through eBay once where people were just selling cards. I'm like, yeah, I fucking see. That is, backstab, or that is
right.
Obviously Leroy Jenkins or whatever.
Leroy Jenkins is the iconic one. So the WoW TCG was around for I don't even know, 8 years. No, maybe. Anyway,
like printing sets.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did things that Magic is starting to do now. They did back then. So like they had I forget what they were called, but they were basically a token card that had a code on it, and that code could unlock something in WoW. So they had like the multi-platform thing already going. One of which was the Spectral Tiger. It was a fucking $1,000 card because it unlocked a mount in WoW.
That did nothing really.
Yeah, it was cool.
Run faster. Yeah,
it was super cool. But I'm not paying $1,000 for a piece of cardboard.
Imagine opening that up. Imagining you're a fucking you're a 12-year-old kid opening that bad boy up and trying to explain to your parents that this is worth $1,000. This these jumbled letters on the back of a card.
So when Hearthstone went into beta, it was the first it obviously wasn't the first of its kind in terms of a card game, but it was a digital game, easy to follow, that was pretty, right? Like watching it was cool, playing it was cool. So yeah, it took off, and Magic only had Moto, which looks like a fucking program from 1995, which it almost is. I think it was 98, 99 when it was released, somewhere around there. Maybe actually a little bit later. But yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that Hearthstone is still number 1. Arena is doing better, but Magic has this problem always where when you get towards the end of a standard, like we have been, it starts viewership starts tanking because nobody fucking wants to tune in and see me playing Esper for the 30,000th time in a row because it's the best deck in standard, and gotta wait for rotation.
Right. So Mythgard in this case is coming in, and I mean, you can call me biased because I play the game, but I play the game because I like it. And anybody who ever wants to challenge me to that regard, the people who watch my stream or are in my Discord or who see me tweet or whatever, the constant pontification that I do, or that I constantly say, is that I don't play shit that I don't like. It's just a fact of the matter. And that's why I stopped playing Hearthstone after 2-3 years of investment in every single set, of buying 100 packs per set that would come out, of playing religiously, of organizing tournaments. That's why I stopped playing it, because I just stopped liking it because I was not having fun with it anymore.
Right.
Magic, there was a point in Magic around War of the Spark where I stopped playing for about a month or two because I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So I waited for M20 to come out before I dove back in. And Mythgard right now has really captivated my attention because it really takes a lot of, now it looks from like, just with the eye test, it is literally looks like you're playing Hearthstone, because you're like, this is, I've played this. Like, why would I play another thing? This is the exact same thing with other games.
Right.
The thing about it is that it takes the deck building, it takes the deck, like the freedom and liberty of deck building in Magic, where you can make anything with the entire collection. There's no factions, there's no classes. You're not restricted to any one or two things.
Sure.
There's no neutral cards. It's just 6 colors and cards associated with that color. You can combine them, whatever. The way to attain mana of any color is there's no lands necessarily. You just have a 40 card deck, and in order to gain access to a color of mana, you quote unquote burn a card out of your hand. Burning means that you shuffle it back into your hand, into your deck, and you gain access to that. So it fixes the mana fuck issue pretty reasonably, wherein cards you don't want to play, you recycle back into your deck as mana. So it does that. And then the combat system is Hearthstone-like, except there are lanes in that you can't just attack anything on the board. You have to attack and play your minions on one of 7 lanes, meaning that you can only attack the 3 lanes ahead of you. So there's a strategic element for attacking and blocking in that regard. From a perspective of sort of competitive viability, I think that there's a lot of layers to the game and deck building aspects that are going to really drive this game into the spotlight from a perspective of, this is a really good game. Like, I have a feeling that this game might have that whole package of, people are going to praise it. People are going to really say, I'm like, this game is like fundamentally very strong. And then it's not going to see much play because it's going to fall way behind the other ones that are already getting a lot of eyes and attention, like Magic and Hearthstone. Which is, it really sucks for the game, because it's a really good game, and I've already pumped in about 60 to 70 hours into it, and I've already attained like the higher ranks in the game. And there are already a lot of players who are super good at it and very creative with their deck building. Excuse me. I just wish that, I mean, it's still an open beta, so it's getting, dozens and dozens and hundreds of new players every week. So it's still collecting a player base. But I feel like if this game came out earlier, or if this game didn't have such titanic competition, it would already be something that like is really creating a lot of buzz. Almost like Artifact did. But Artifact, like,
they blew that one.
They ninja dusted their way right out of the scene, right?
Yeah, and that comes to like we already know from, obviously, examples. We have Hearthstone, we have Magic, or specifically Magic Arena, Artifact, Eternal, Mythgard, and probably
TSL
a myriad of other ones. Oh yeah, TSL is one of them. The biggest part of these games and their, I'm not gonna say success, because their success is measured in different things, but their viability to kind of explode like Hearthstone did is viewability. Like, watching a game take place. Like, the reason why Arena is doing so much better than Moto is because Moto is fucking impossible to like want to sit down and watch, except for those people who really enjoy watching it. Like, that's fine. But Arena makes it so much easier for somebody who maybe doesn't understand the game, maybe is new, or is thinking about getting into it, to watch, pay attention, and learn. Hearthstone, super simple to watch. Like, very easy to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
I think Mythgard does have that going for it, that it is easy to watch. It just doesn't quite look pretty.
No, and you're absolutely spot on about that. What's really great about Magic, when you play a big card, it has a big animation and a big effect. So it's pretty to watch, and it's clean to watch as well. And there's some really good and clean animations. And I mean, if you play, a Resplendent Angel or a Lyra on the board, it looks pretty. Or you play a Seraph of the Scales and there's a cool animation. Like, that's really some extra sprinkles on your ice cream that you're like, fuck, this is really just fun to like look at and watch and, just enjoy. It's aesthetics that, what, like, you're paying for a good game, but you also want to be wowed a bit. You
Sure.
want some fun. Mythgard, I think, has taken the approach of, we're gonna get features and gameplay and balance under wraps right now, and like, when we fucking finally go down the route where we're out of beta and it happens, like, we're gonna polish up everything and maybe get some stuff. And we voiced that at, like, they have a partner system of about 12 to 14 quote unquote game partners out of the thousands of people who play, who are essentially people that are in contact with the developers on a regular basis to give feedback and hold meetings and discuss the future and of the game, and sort of comment on their path to sort of say, what do you guys think about this, and what do you think we should do with this, or whatever. Part of that was that we mentioned, in terms of actual priority, it was always obviously that the client works. Secondly, that the game was balanced, and like, third, that the features on the game that people always want, like a friend list, that kind of stuff, was all intact. Spectator mode and also. And then after that, we're like, once all that shit is squared away, like, then add the fireworks and the glitter and the
Yeah.
sparkles and shit, And I think that's where they're at right now. But I totally get it, where you're like, you can see, you can queue into, or you can, like, kind of watch a stream for Mythgard, take a look at the board, much like Hearthstone, and be like, okay, I know who's winning, I know what's going on. It'll take 10 seconds to sort of get a great grasp of the situation and the climate of the game. But you're like, but if it kind of looks a little gritty, it doesn't look very pretty.
Yeah, and I mean that may or may not turn off some people to it. I played during the closed beta phase of it, um, and it reminded me of an old game called Soul Forge. It was also lane combat based, but I think that one was automatic, whereas Mythgard you actually have to attack manually. Um, and it has some pretty cool features going for it. Well, so we'll have to see where it kind of goes, but
Yeah.
they have a lot of they have good flavor to the entire set, like that's out, like this whole cyberpunk thing with dinosaurs for whatever reason.
It's kind of like a cyberpunk slash mythology mixed together, because you have, like, elements of Roman, Norse, Greek mythology
Yeah,
implemented with this, like, metropolis like atmosphere and setting of, like, cyberpunkish type people. It's really kind of these two mishmashed worlds.
yeah, and the mechanics that they've made with the mana system of burning cards, lane combat, and their way of doing enchantments, which are like actual lands that you play on. It is pretty cool, and it is interesting to watch. There's a lot of strategy to it, so we'll have to see where that goes. I know you've been streaming it a ton and really enjoying
Yeah.
it. So
I've really enjoyed it, and a lot of the, I mean, I've put in thousands of hours and hundreds and hundreds of dollars into Hearthstone, because I thought that game was tremendous. And then I think it was around Old Gods when I was just so fed up of RNG that I was like, I can't do this anymore. So it was nice to find that game, to find Mythgard, because it has the stuff out of Hearthstone that I really fell in love with, like the mechanics of it, with an extra 1 or 2 layers of strategy to it. Plus, it also had the deck building freedom and liberties that you could take, and creativity that you can take with a deck that Magic has with the color system, without without the RNG and without the land screw. So to me right now, I'm just in like this, like, small little blissful state, because I'm playing so much of it and I'm doing well with it, and it's so fresh that not many people are streaming it. And as a small streamer like myself, it's really to my benefit as well to be streaming games that not many people are streaming, because you're just out there and you're doing it. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not doing it to be opportunistic. I'm doing it because I genuinely really enjoy the game.
sure, yeah, and It looks like the developers are really supportive of their streaming base and taking feedback. Like you said, you guys have meetings with the developers to see like what's going on in the future of it. So that's really good. Something that I think other companies should probably do. Not saying Wizards doesn't do that. There was one in particular that didn't listen to anything anybody was saying. But you know, we'll have to see where it goes. And I think the one thing we were talking about this earlier before we went live, balance is going to be a huge part of how that game, you know, sort of goes. How they're going to react to the first card they make that's like broken.
Right. Having that, we were discussing this a little bit off stream, but having that first test, right, when let's say a new card is printed. So I spoke to their developers. I have a Mythgard podcast, and the first episode we actually had their community manager, part of the dev team, on the show, and we asked them what their schedule was for expansions and how aggressive they wanted to be and what the size of the expansions were. And I think they committed to like 3 a year of about 80 cards per expansion. So actually, you know, nothing extravagant, nothing crazy. I think there was like between 80 and 90 cards per expansion. So you're looking at about, 270 cards a year. And the problem is like you said, is like what's going to happen that first time. Let's say, that first set rolls out and they print something that's an absolute shit show. Imagine a 2-cost Teferi with like an initial body of like 5,
Okay.
Where something absolutely absurd, obscene, out of like just nutso,
Like something went wrong during development and nobody took a second look at this card.
Like, it was like a misprint on every single card and no one caught it and no one realized it. And the guy who actually knew about it was murdered and forgotten and like banished and whatever.
A series of unfortunate events.
Exactly. Like what's the first, like to me, or let me ask you this, like what's the time frame where that does not get fucked up? Like let's say the set was released today, and by tomorrow people are like, okay, this card is broken, and by like 3 or 4 days later that card is in 90% of the meta.
Like it depends on brokenness, right? So if we're talking about something that is overtly like this is wrong, like I'll liken it to MTG card, like Skull Clamp, right? Like
Googling.
Yeah. Exclamation point card Skull Clamp. Skull Clamp was an equipment that gave a creature +1/-1, and then when that creature died, you drew 2 cards. 1 mana cost, equip of 1. On the surface, this card doesn't seem to like, okay, what would I really use this for? That's kind of cool. Gives it +1/-1, and I get a little bit of advantage back.
Isn't this not just a 2-cost draw 2 cards?
It's a repeated 2-cost draw 2 cards.
Right, because it's paid 1 for 1, and then it's 2 cost initially, and then it's 1 cost to draw 2 cards on any piece of garbage little token, right?
Right. So this ended up just kind of like wrecking Standard when it was around, and it lasted for a good couple of months before Wizards realized like, okay, this is kind of a problem. Like we need to stop this. But it wasn't an emergency ban. Like they waited to see if the meta would react to it, if they could fix it, stuff like that. So I think that's okay for something that on the surface doesn't look ridiculous, but by the time kind of players have figured it out, obviously this was in paper a long time ago, so the speed at which things get figured out now is like instantaneous, right? Like you're talking in one day, people are like, okay, no, this is what we need to play. I think the reaction to it needs to be faster. So if we're talking a card like Skullcamp gets printed in that power zone for Mythgard, I would expect within a month, like action is taken. Now because they're digital, they get to do things to that card rather than just get rid of it. They could go, oh, okay, maybe the actual original printing of Skullclamp was +1/+1, not +1/-1. If that card was +1/+1, fucking would never see play.
It's true.
Like, in a million years. Right, because it wouldn't do what it needed to do. You would just block the 2/2. So, or you just would not block the 2/2, not give the card advantage. But you know, so they could fix that in something like Mythgard. They could fix that in something like Hearthstone. Where they're like, oh, okay, we're seeing how this card is used in this specific way. Let's tweak it where it still is decent and people may still want it, but it doesn't become, like you said, 90% of the meta.
Yeah.
If there's like an emergency, oh shit, like we made a mistake, that shit needs to be done in like a day. Like, Magic had one. We've talked about this before. The name of the card is actually currently escaping me, and I died to it many times. But it was a card that lasted less than a week. In Magic, it was printed during Urza's. It was a 5-mana artifact, draw 7. You know, I forget the name of it's currently escaping me. But this was a card that like was an oh shit. This should not have been printed. We need to get rid of it. It was emergency banned, and then if you owned copies of this card, you could actually send it back to Wizards, and they would give you a pack.
Oh, I think you're talking to me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if something like that happened in a digital game like Mythgard, Hearthstone, Eternal, whatever, that shit would be like, if you went more than a day outside of Memory Jar was the name of it. Thank you. Yeah, if you went more than a day on this, it would be like what are you doing? Why did this happen? How did this make it through any of your developers?
What is the criteria for emergency ban? Because there are some would say, and I mean, like these Nexus loops that were just obscenely obnoxious and overpowering in terms of the like frequency of the meta and flooding all over the place. Like they never touched that card throughout the year and a half that people were complaining about it, more or less. Same with Big Teferi when it came out. Same with Little Teferi now. You know, the ban this, ban that, ban this, ban that never happened. And you know, like how egregious of a fucking cancer does it have to be to warrant like a 1 or 2 day kind of like, okay, we got to pull the chute on this card because this is obscene.
I mean, they banned a 3/3 for 3 dinosaur. Okay, it was banned for a long time.
Ferocidon.
Poor Ferocidon.
Where is he at? I got a foil version of him.
It finally got unbanned. They finally unbanned it as he was rotating.
Poor guy.
So, but Magic has kind of taken on this mindset of if a card can kill you, like legitimately kill you before turn 4, then it's a problem. And so that's why like Cat Combo was killed. Cat Combo was an infinite combo that could kill you on turn 4 in Standard. Both cards were printed in the exact same set. So if you had these cards in Draft, you could kill your opponent on turn 4 in Draft.
Oh, God.
It just made infinite tokens with haste. Basically, Splinter Twin combo, but just in a different form. So I think that's their mindset that they take. Is, can something kill you before turn 4? If it can, then we're going to ban it. If it sort of can, but not quite, like Hogak. Like, Hogak couldn't technically kill you before turn 4, but she had 16 power worth of creatures on turn 2. So, yeah. Like, it took them a little while to ban Hogak. Standard bannings, I think, are handled differently. I think in Standard, they want to give it a lot more time because people are invested in Standard, right?
Right.
People spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every year just rotating with the next set. So if suddenly, like, hey, here's Teferi in War of the Spark, fucking a month after we print him, like, all right, it's everywhere, we're going to ban him. Then people are going to be pissed, you know? Banning is a last resort, and it should be handled. And same thing with nerfing. Nerfing should be handled as a last resort to a card. But that threshold for developers, I think, just depends on how much they trust their player base to either figure it out or not figure it out. Like in Hearthstone, we had Undertaker for way too long.
Right.
When that was out. Way too long was that card around, as it was. So,
well, that card was that was a 1-drop, right? A 1/2.
Yeah, it was a 1-drop 1/2.
Followed by there was like the web spinners plus the 1/2 that spawned 2 1/1s.
That was
with Death Rattle.
Yeah,
What it was called.
haunted
Haunted Creeper, or something like that. And then into God knows what, into God knows what.
Give me a big hug.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then the oh my god, the fucking dude with leprosy.
Yeah, that's the leper.
The leper gnome or whatever.
Yeah, give me a big hug.
Give me a big hug.
So that obviously, like, that was a card that they took probably longer than they needed to nerf that card down. But since then they've been kind of okay on some things. They've had some issues here and there with, like, they left just recently Dr. Boom as a hero. He was a 7-mana hero for like the entirety of from when he was printed to a couple weeks ago. They finally were like, okay, let's make him 9 mana because too many people are playing him. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's been around for a year, and you're just now just like deciding
it's out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, it's just
they've done that a few times, have they not? Where they just pick a card at random, like the
they do it to
Mana Worm.
Shake up the meta.
Yeah, like the Mana Worm was a 1-mana 1/3. Now, obviously, the Mana Worm was like a ridiculously good 1-drop in. Like, I think every class had like its own special 1/3 drop, or most of them did, right? Like there was
just Mana Worm, I think.
Well, there was the Cleric, the Northshire Cleric.
Yeah. That Northshire Cleric hasn't been touched. That's a original card. So
yeah,
it's people like to fuck with Wizards and be like, yeah, their banning is like they just spin a dartboard, just go and fucking you're banned and you're banned. But other developers do the same thing. So we'll see how Mythgard handles their future issues. I fucking lost faith in the Eternal ones. I don't know if any of the other card games out there really have issues like this. Like, I know Pokemon doesn't really have problems with it. But then again, Pokemon's an odd game. Have you ever played Pokemon?
I did back in the day. I played I used to open packs of first edition, like first.
Yeah.
I've held cards in my hand as a young idiot child that are now. I remember I watched my like 7-year-old cousin. I went to go babysit my little cousins, which was essentially I just went to my aunt's house while she ran errands around the house, and I just played with my cousins. And as a reward, I got a pack of Pokemon cards, or I got basically I went to go play with my cousins, and she gave us all a pack of Pokemon cards. Whatever. I opened God knows what, like Genghis Khan and fucking who knows what. And my cousin, my 7-year-old cousin, opened a first edition Charizard. And I was like, oh, fucking, that's amazing. And he proceeded to, like fold it and put it in his pocket or God knows what. And then in my mind, I'm like, I look back on that day because I know the scene vividly in my mind. I know which room I was in. I remember what the colors of the walls were. I remember him opening it. I remember me immediately knowing, I'm like, that's a really fucking good card. Why is it in his pocket? like that kind of thing.
Cool.
Because even at that age, I think at that age I was like 13 or 14. I was like, I know that needs to be in a sleeve. Like, I know that needs to be in like a top loader or something. I know.
Early Magic, me and all our friends, and this is probably anybody who plays Magic who is listening. Your decks were in rubber bands.
Yeah,
that was how you kept your decks together.
And you fucking went bareback with
bands,
man. Yeah, you totally went bareback with them. You did not put them in a sleeve. You did not protect those bastards. You slapped them down. I don't care if there was Pepsi spilled on the fucking table, chip dust all over the fucking place. If that Mox had to come down, it came down, and it didn't matter what was on the board. It did not matter.
Yeah, you can always tell when I worked at LGS and we brought in collections where we went through collections. You could always tell like who either smoked because the edges of them, like you put a stack of cards together, they're just yellow all the way around. Or what was in rubber bands because they had markings on all four sides.
Oh, you had like the indentation of the rubber band.
But but yeah, like somebody in chat says, because it's a digital medium for like Hearthstone, Mythgard, not Arena, because Arena obviously has the paper portion of it. Eternal, all that stuff. You can easily turn things around and change your metas on the fly by just these are cards we want to see get played. These are cards that are seeing too much play. Let's bring some down, bring others up. So we'll see. It's interesting, and I'm glad another game is seeing a little bit of popularity, and it is a good game. So if you guys out there watching or listening haven't tried it, I believe it's mythgard.com.
Yeah, Mythgard, play Mythgard.
Or play Mythgard?
Yeah, Mythgard at Mythgard Game on Twitter. Or just follow me because I tweet about that shit. Yeah, I tweet about that shit all the time. I also have a podcast for Mythgard as well. But I mean, check out the game, and it's free to play like all the other games, and you might like it. You never know. I've tried a bunch of games like over the years. Like a lot of people like just try this, and this is the first one in a long time that has actually kind of gripped me, and I've enjoyed. And yeah, so again, I am not an employee. I am not a paid, sponsored, or anything shill. I like what I like, man, and that's what it is. Okay, and speaking of which, and this is what I talked to you a little bit before we went live, that I had to go get something special because I want to show it off.
Oh.
Let me tell you about the greatest thing ever, by the way.
Okay, so I'm listening.
I'm going to prelude this real briefly with the fact that I struggle with sugar in the sense that if I get a little bit, I want it all. And I was really, really good with not eating sweets and sugar and chocolate and shit like that for a while. Then I went to go visit my parents, and my mom, before I left, I stayed at my parents' house for about 2 days or 3 days. Before I left, she snuck into my suitcase, like my bag, she snuck in like 4 chocolate bars. And I'm like, I tell her not to, but God bless her, she stuck in some chocolate bars. So I ate them. I ate them in like a day and a half. I'm like, one a day. Perfect. I ate them in a day and a half. The next day, I was so fucking jonesing for sugar. And I'm like, if I go out of the house, it's going to be a fucking shit show. So I'm not going to do it. So what do? I look at my shelf and I find that I still had these. Now there's green. Obviously, there's green screen. These are Lucio O's.
Lucio O's.
Lucio O's, my friend. Now, I was like, I haven't eaten cereal in a while, especially sugary cereal. Poured myself a bowl of these. The flavor, as advertised on the box, is Sonic Vanilla. Not just that
Sonic vanilla. So like this super fast vanilla.
Dude, this is not peasant vanilla. This is Sonic Vanilla. Anyways, these are fucking amazing. It's disgusting. No. It is so freaking insane. So I had to buy these. My friend in the States bought them for me because we don't have them in Canada. And when I went to go visit him like months and months and months ago, and I just had them in my bag and I had them on a shelf. I had this on a shelf with like my Reinhardt Lego and my Farah like pop vinyl shit, like my Overwatch stuff. And I had it there like on my shelf, like a display. And I busted that bitch out and I ate some, and God damn it, are they good. And now I'm kind of kicking myself because I can't go get more. Because Sonic Vanilla, Frosty, is the best fucking version of vanilla that you never knew existed.
I never knew Sonic Vanilla was a thing. I also, how old is that box?
Oh, I don't know when it was purchased. I know that I acquired this box probably. When was I last?
Because wasn't Lucio O's like one of their like launch promotion things?
I don't think it was a launch promotion for like when the game first launched. Maybe like in later on when it kind of took off. I have no fucking way. Okay, well here's the thing. It's actually not bad because it actually has a contest on it that is active.
Oh, still ongoing.
Yeah, it ends at the end of this year. So at least it's not that bad.
I mean, cereal doesn't really go bad because it's just a bunch of sugar and
Yeah,
like
but I mean, if
meat.
you want to take a look, the actual pieces, you can see the green ones on there because some
They're
of them
like
are
Apple
green.
Jacks.
Yeah, so you have like some yellow pieces and some green pieces. Apparently, these are the colors of Lucio. But
Yes.
holy Jesus, are these fucking amazing? Anyway,
Bless you, Flake. You sugar fiend.
I know
You're as bad with sugar as I am with alcohol.
it's an illness, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for our show today. Leading on, of course, the breakfast cereal thing. Flake, my man. Before we go, of course, some shout outs. Go ahead and plug yourself.
All right. Now, I will always shout out my handsome and capable co-host, Frosty, always. However, this time I will also include, as always, the chat, who are always exceptional at picking out all our faults and errors and helping us fill in the gaps where we don't necessarily come in the clutch. Thank you guys. You guys are wicked cool and awesome. But let me thank the makers of Lucio O's. Whoever the hell you are who discovered this wicked cool flavor of Sonic Vanilla, give yourself a pat on the back. Go lay down, grab a beer, relax a bit, put on your favorite show, and just revel in your glory, because this is the best goddamn cereal I've had in a long freaking time. And yes, I might be addicted right now, but I am not a paid shill. Not yet. But if you're out there, Lucio O people, please contact me. I will work for cereal. I work for cereal. I will shill your cereal. I will do whatever it takes for more of this cereal. Thank you so much. That's all I have for today.
Well, you heard it here first. Flake will work for sugar. As I would work for alcohol. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Flake, are you streaming after this? Are you going to be playing some Mythgard?
I am not going to be streaming after this. I'll be streaming tomorrow morning.
Son of a bitch.
I know, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think I'm going to probably go ahead and pour myself a bowl of Sir Lucio O's and just kind of take off into the sunset. But dude, it's always a pleasure, and I'm always happy to do this show with you and catch up with you, my friend. And I am going to be, I might not be playing much Magic on stream anymore, but I am always watching you play, and you're always
thank you for
ace. That. Yeah, no worries, my man.
And we'll be back next Friday, same time, same place. More talk of card games, card game worlds, and cereal.
Heck, yes.
Thank you guys all so much for watching. And the cereal. Thank the cereal. All right, y'all have a good night. I will be streaming after this, so if you want to hang around for some Magic, be live in a little bit. So, thanks all. Peace out.
Adios.